Hey dudes, Silvite Soltis here, back again with another classic WoW video. Today, we're diving into another of my favorite classic dungeons, Strat Undead. Far to the north, in the eastern Plaguelands, Stratholme is a fan favorite, with fast-paced pulls and amazing loot. But with patrolling mobs, invisible ghosts, and a fairly intense final stretch, a single mistake can quickly spiral into a full-blown wipe. In this video, I'll be sharing my top tips and tricks for surviving and thriving inside Strat Undead. Whether you're farming reputation, gearing up for raids, or just running it for fun, this guide will help you get in, clear fast, and get out without dying to a single abomination. As always, if you enjoy the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment with your own Stratholme pro tips below. But anyway, let's get right into it. It's time for us to cleanse the scourge from the streets of Stratholme. Tip number 1. Group composition. Before heading over to Strat, make sure you've got the right group composition to get the job done. Considering we're talking about Strat Undead, you should plan to deal with lots of zombies and ghosts. To that end, priests are an amazing class to bring due to their shackle undead and abolish disease abilities. With all the undead enemies spreading diseases on your party, you just can't go wrong with a priest in your group. Other than a priest, however, you can really bring whatever classes you like. As always though, make sure that your classes synergize well. If you bring a mage, maybe consider bringing a hunter. If you bring a shaman, make sure to have a warrior or rogue for wind fury cleaving. In general, you'll definitely want to have at least one ranged DPS, but it's a bigger priority to make sure that you bring classes that work well together. Tip number 2. The flesh does not lie. When heading over to Strat Undead for the first time, make sure that you pick up the quest The Flesh Does Not Lie from Light's Hope Chapel. This short chain rewards you with the Seal of the Dawn or the Rune of the Dawn, both improved versions of the Argent Dawn Commission trinket that allows you to collect Scourge Stones to get reputation. Since you'll likely be equipping the basic trinket to get those reputation items anyway, it just makes sense to upgrade it for the additional attack and spell power while in the dungeon. So, make it a point to grab this quest and see it through to completion. Tip number 3. Go to the right entrance. Before you even zone in, make sure that you're entering the correct wing of Stratholme. The instance has 2 entrances, the front gate for the live side, and the service entrance for the undead side, where you'll fight Baron Rivendere. Unless you plan on completing a full run, you'll want to enter through the back gate in the eastern Plaguelands, just northeast of the main city. You'll need the key to the city to open the gate, but often enough, someone in your group or a player nearby will be able to open it for you. The key is obtained from one of those bosses, Magistrate Bartholos, so you'll probably pick it up in no time as well. Note that while you can access Undead Strat from the front entrance, it adds time to the run. What's more, if you enter from the front, you can't even zone back out, as there's a gate blocking the portal upon zoning in. Basically, just make sure that you go to the right entrance from the start. Tip number 4. Gather and use holy water. Once inside the instance, you can buff up and get ready to face the ghouls, banshees, abominations, crypt fiends, and necromancers that await. Considering how many undead enemies there are, Stratholme Holy Water can be your best friend in this dungeon. Found in the crates around the instance, these little bottles can deal heavy damage to undead on use and can help out a lot in a pinch. Be careful though, some of the crates littered throughout the dungeon are actually traps, so a rogue's detect traps can help here. These waters can be incredibly useful for both trash and boss fights, especially during timed Baron runs in later phases. Stratholme Holy Water can help save your healer's mana, give your group some breathing room, and even finish off waves of adds in a pinch. Keep some on hand before the run starts if you can, and watch out for the crates throughout the dungeon. They're a free power spike. Oh, and there's also a bunch of crates full of them right by the end of the dungeon, right when they're needed the most, for the last boss. Tip number 5. Watch for patrols. Like seemingly every dungeon in Classic, there are patrols scattered throughout the streets of Stratholme. One noticeable difference, however, is just how fast they move here. Gargoyles zip around the streets and can easily swoop in, chain pull an extra pack with them, and wipe your group. To avoid this, stick to the sides of the dungeon as you clear, and mark every patrol you see as it goes by. Bright-colored target markers like triangle, diamond, and square work best, since they contrast really well with the dark and smoky atmosphere of the dungeon. Tip number 6. Beware the Eye of Knackaramus. As you clear the dungeon, be on the lookout for ghosts that periodically appear, shouting, "The living are here." The Eyes of Knackaramus are mobs that, if left alive, will summon 2 gargoyle adds. This can be particularly dangerous if you are already dealing with a pack of mobs when they spawn, so be alert and ready to nuke them down ASAP. They have almost no health, but they can wipe your group if you're too slow to react. Tip number 7. Plan for fears. As with many high-level dungeons, certain mobs in Stratholme have fear abilities, most notably the Rockwing Screecher Gargoyles. And while they can always be dangerous, fears are particularly deadly in Strat Undead due to their close proximity of packs and the fairly limited space. If left unchecked, a single fear can cause a player to run into several groups of mobs, quickly resulting in a wipe. As such, it's important to plan ahead. Pull packs back a safe distance from other packs, especially Banshees. If you have a Shaman in your group, make sure that they drop Tremor Totem often as well. By dealing with fears, you massively increase your chances of success in the dungeon. Tip number 8. Banshees and Gargoyles die first. Speaking of fears, note that throughout the dungeon, you'll run into Banshees and Gargoyles, both of which can be massive threats if left alive, and even more so if pulled together. Banshees can silence, which can cause your run to get derailed very quickly if your tank dies. Plus, as mentioned before, Gargoyles can fear, which can ruin your positioning and wipe a group mid-pull. If these two mechanics combine, a wipe is all but guaranteed. So, always focus these types of mobs first, and whenever possible, try to avoid pulling them together. Tip number 9. The Ziggurats. To open the path to Baron Rivendere at the end, you'll need to clear 3 Ziggurats within the dungeon, each guarded by a boss. The first one is just to the left after you've entered the city proper, and is guarded by the crypt fiend Nerubenkan. The second is off to the right after you enter, and is guarded by Baroness Anastari. The third and final Ziggurat is a bit further along in the dungeon, and is guarded by Maleki the Pallid. The 3 bosses are all fairly straightforward, the most difficult definitely being Baroness, who mind controls a player at random several times throughout the fight. The important thing to remember, though, is that you have to go inside the Ziggurat after slaying each boss, and clear out the necromancers within. Don't forget to do this, or you'll have to turn around when you finally clear to that final stretch of the dungeon, and do it all later. Tip number 10. Pull carefully in the Abomination Courtyard. After clearing the 3 Ziggurats, the final portion of the dungeon opens up. Upon entering, you'll be greeted with a courtyard full of abominations. Once you pull the first enemy, you start a timed event where additional abominations will slowly wander toward the gate, one by one. You have 2 options here. You can either wait patiently at the gate for each enemy to approach, or you can move out into the courtyard to kill the abominations. If you decide to move out of the entrance, however, the remaining abominations will still continue the event. So keep an eye on where the mobs are, and which, if any, are making their way over to the entrance. Take it slow, and don't overpull, as too many of these behemoths at once can quickly wipe your group right at the end. Also, note that once all of the abominations are killed, Rammstein the Gorger will emerge from the final Ziggurat. You likely won't have time to sit and drink in between, so be mindful when pulling the final A-bomb. As a final note here, Also remember that the death of Rammstein triggers a massive wave of low health skeletons from the gate off to the left of the area. So remember to grab some holy water from the crates as you're clearing, just in case. Tip number 11. Baron Rivendere. Finally, after defeating the Abomination Gauntlet, Rammstein the Gorger, the wave of skeletons, and the 5 Blackguard sentries that emerge from the Ziggurat, you're able to face the final boss of the dungeon, Baron Rivendere. This boss has some tricky mechanics, but if you were able to handle everything up until him, you shouldn't have too much difficulty taking him down. After going into the Ziggurat, make sure to buff up outside of the room, as the boss has a large aggro radius. When you enter the room, be mindful to hug the wall and immediately move to the left, grouping up in the corner. Don't move too far in though, or you'll pull the boss early, likely leading to a wipe. Note that the doors close as soon as the encounter begins, so you need to make sure that all group members make it inside. Just like Alexei Barov in Skullamen's, Rivendere has a pulsing shadow damage aura that causes some shadow damage and spell pushback, so your ranged and healers should try to stand at max range if possible. That said, he'll also periodically summon skeletons to attack the group, which spawn on the bone piles around the room, and typically make a beeline for the healer. There are 2 really effective ways that you can deal with this. 1. Have your ranged and your healer stack on the bone pile in the back corner of the room in order to outrange the aura, and spam AoE like Arcane Explosion or Hellfire whenever the skeletons come to attack the healer. 2. You can stack on the boss's butt and make sure that all the skeletons cluster near the tank, and then AoE them there, eating the shadow take damage the whole fight. If you choose this option though, make sure not to get anywhere near the front, as Rivendere has a deadly cleave ability. Rivendere can be particularly dangerous because he does high melee damage to the tank, which, if combined with the pulsing AoE damage, can run your healer out of mana quickly. Consider how the group has gone up until this point, and decide which method you'll want to use ahead of time as a group in order to ensure your success. As a final note, the crates outside the boss's chambers contain lots of Stratholme holy water, and you should definitely make sure to stock up on those before this fight, especially if your group lacks AoE classes. If you take all the proper precautions, however, the Baron will fall and you'll be rewarded with his amazing loot, and possibly even a mount. So, there you have it, my top tips and tricks for Strat Undead. Whether you're here for farming gold, chasing pre-raid bis, or just enjoying some nostalgic dungeon crawling, these tips will no doubt make your run much smoother. That said, I'd love to know what you think. Did any of these tips help you clear the dungeon? Or do you have other tips that you'd like to share? Let me know by leaving a comment down below. As always, if you found this guide helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for more classic tips and tricks. I've got a lot more coming, so stay tuned. But anyway, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, take it easy, guys.